I mean, Riley Cooper, I mean, like, that dude deserves a statue. I mean, like,
number one on your speed dial.
Hey, I'll tell you what, like, I mean, I didn't know until a couple days after the fact. I was like, wait a minute, is he the MVP or like was he on the all-tournament team?
No doubt about it.
And then Ty Floyd, when I struck out 17, and like stole it from him. But I was like, when has a pitcher like been a part of like 5 of the 6 wins in Omaha? I mean, what a performance!
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time.
Pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Sharp a little late, boys, at the spring game, obviously, as you can see. Couple of booze cruises here to do. Let's spit, cruise, grand salami to the boys, finally back on track. And I got another one coming. Don't you think I don't? And that's how we roll in Tiger Stadium.
Just watching the spring games that were on television, one thing that jumped out about your squad is your quarterback room is very talented compared to a lot of the league and a lot of the country. I wonder, is it easier to recruit that position when you have talent or when you don't have talent? Coach Kelly, we're official.
Finally,
I'm
get a
telling
chance to meet you. Thought I had to get a private audience with the Pope. There's Jordy.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show,
And you
come have a
started
good time.
tearing up answering the question, and I thought, my God, if she gets offered this job, she's going to take it.
It's just a crazy, fun time at LSU right now. Isn't this what everybody loves?
From the boot to the east to the west coast, no matter where we at, we live. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show, yeah.
Let's go! Let's go!
All right.
Big start. Big day.
Nice start.
It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time. Welcome in to a Thursday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, we are built by our friends over at RMB Builders. Shout out to Rhett and his crew over at RMB Builders. They're online at rmb-builders.com and on Instagram at RMB Builders. Our phone line daily is brought to you by Southern Regional Medical Center. Remember our friends over at Southern Regional Medical Center. Shout out to Charlie Harvey and Jason Ramazan as always. Supporting the show, Real Doctors, Real Solutions. Get in touch with our friends over at Southern Regional Medical Center, and we originate every single day live here from the campus of Click Here Digital. We are online at clickheredigital.com. I am a direct contact for you here at Click Here Digital, so if you want to learn about digital marketing plans like setting your Google ads or your social media ads, you can learn all about it with the pros over at Click Here Digital just by contacting me, Jordy at clickheredigital.com. Good Thursday morning to you. Appreciate you being here. Thanks for starting the day here with us. If you want to hit that like button, the share button, the comment button, the subscription button, we appreciate all the subscribers that have been clicking on the link and subscribing to us over the last couple of days. We see the numbers climbing. We appreciate you greatly. If you don't mind and you're watching here for the first time or you're back watching again and you have not subscribed, do us a favor and hit that subscription and click the bell. You'll know when we go live each and every day here. As always, we got a good show for you coming up today and looking forward to our discussion with Jim Nagy, who is the executive is the executive director with the Reese's Senior Bowl, is going to stop by here. He was in Baton Rouge yesterday. He was over at Walk-Ons with Brandon Landry. They were eating lunch over there. Just so happened that Joe Sloan and Jayden Daniels were in Walk-Ons as well, and Nagy presented the Senior Bowl invitation to the Heisman Trophy frontrunner, Jayden Daniels, and really had some cool content coming out of it. We'll talk to Nagy about Daniels' senior season, what they anticipate the week of over at in Mobile, where they claim that's where the draft starts, and they've got the numbers and the data that prove that over the last really couple of seasons, as far as who has been there and the people that have really seen some success from it. So looking forward to talking to Jim Nagy coming up here at 7:30 this morning. And then our regular Thursday conversation with Chris Blair is going to be in studio with us just like he is every week, 8:15. We'll talk to Blair about some of those calls last week. If we can, Lloyd, pull some of those calls from last week on those long runs from Blair. LSUsports.net's got the original calls from the radio network last week, where Blair was just losing his mind on some of those Daniels runs and some of the highlights, some of the great calls that Blair has been a part of this season in 2023. So we'll try to revisit some of those, but we'll talk to the man and the voice coming up here at 8:15, just like we do every single Thursday. Brian Kelly was on the SEC teleconference yesterday. He was speaking a little bit about kind of the goals left in the season, still hyping up his quarterback, hyping up his wide receivers for as far as postseason awards go, which you really love to hear. Looking forward to closing out the season, obviously in the regular this season with Texas A&M next weekend, and obviously you got Georgia Southern this weekend coming in town for a 7:00 kickoff. So looking forward to today's show with Jim Nagy and talking about the Senior Bowl, because that has turned in really to one of the postseason attractions and really the pre-draft buildup that is almost must-see television. It's really about the week of practice. When I was at my former stop on radio, we went over to the Senior Bowl for a week, the week of practice, and I believe we got there on Wednesday and stayed until Friday. And man, you talk about a cool week and a who's who of NFL, college, what it turns into. And if you're a high school coach in the state, in the area, it's kind of like the LHSAA coaches clinic, right? Where, people go to get jobs, people that are looking for work, people that have been in the profession, people that are, kind of around the sport, really kind of flock to Mobile that week just because everybody's there. I mean, the week we were there, we saw Belichick, we saw Tomlin, we saw Andy Reid. I mean, like, you think about the top name, Sean Payton and the Saints staff were there that week. That's really why we were over there, kind of covering that in the draft buildup. LSU had sent something like 6 guys over there, so it was a local appeal and also just kind of coming to see what the week was like, and it was cool, man. We went to a speaking symposium that featured NFL scouts, general managers, agents. We saw Drew Rosenhaus on a set. He was actually there with the Bengals head coach Zach Taylor was on that panel. I mean, it's just a cool week. It's really about everything but the game. When you talk to people down there, a lot of the evaluation, a lot of the grades are administered through the week because the week is so competitive, right? You think about the practice field and you have all these guys that are, looking to boost their draft stock, looking to compete, looking to, kind of put down on film who they are, listening to coaches direct them, NFL coaches direct them. It is a high competitive, really cool scene if you've never experienced. And one thing that Jim Nagy has done is that he has made it, so attractive. It's always been there. It's always had the week of practice. It's always brought in some of the biggest names in college football. It's never had this amount of interest. It's never had this amount of intrigue to it. And Nagy has done an incredible job over the last, I think it's been 5 years since he's been in charge. And, I mean, the thing has been a rocket ship, right? From sponsors. I mean, walk-ons sponsors the entire week of practice, as you saw the picture there with Jayden yesterday from walk-ons, where he and Joe Sloan were eating lunch, and Nagy and Brandon Landry came in. And
you can kind of draw like a direct line from when Nagy took over the Reese's Senior Bowl to what it is now, because it was a sleeping giant.
It was.
Because of, like you said, all the access, all the coaches, and it's not such a, while they're evaluating talent, it feels like it's a very laid-back atmosphere, and you can really get a feel for kind of the seniors. And now that I'm also interested to see what he has to say about allowing juniors to now play in the game. I think that's the first year. This year is the first year that's going to happen.
Right. To play in it?
Yeah, they get to play in it now,
right,
too.
Yeah. It's a great showcase. And again, really, if you're kind of familiar with the week, it really is about the week of practice. You know, I mean, it's really not about the game, which is kind of the cool part about it. So we will talk to Nagy coming up here at 7:30. Looking forward to that. That should be a good conversation with Nagy coming up here in a couple of minutes. And then, as we said, Chris Blair will be here, and we'll talk to him about the Florida week. We did hear Brian Kelly speaking yesterday on the SEC teleconference, and he was speaking about, some of the goals that were still left in this season and really what, taking the job at LSU was about. And, he kind of mentioned that it was about winning the SEC. It was about going for championships and competing for championships. And, I think we continue to still hear Brian Kelly say the right things, say the things that you would hope the leader of a competitive championship level program would be putting out into the public. I expect here over the next couple of weeks us to see up close that commitment on display. I think that there is going to be some major moves and major shakeups coming with LSU football, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. I think that Brian Kelly has, really realized the competitive difference between competing at the highest level in the SEC and competing at schools that are brand names and, really understand the aspect of building student athletes in a college football program that really understands, the education along with the football and what that was, and now what to college football is turning into, right? Where it is legitimately the NFL minor leagues. It is being scheduled like that. It is being positioned like that with the conferences. It is being funded like that. And every Saturday there is a mad dash to your streaming device, your television, to boost up these numbers that demand these high advertising dollars within the sport that has made it what it is, this monster, right? I mean, this cash cow that everybody has to feed off of, and now it feels like everybody is getting their seat at the table. And, for where LSU is sitting going into that race of a 12-team playoff, Brian Kelly is the guy that they're riding into the fight with. And as they go in, I think he understands that the way this team, the roster has to be built is different than what they anticipated when they first arrived. And I believe to get there, you have to have the absolute right people in place with little margin for error. And I expect that to happen pretty soon, as the calendar allows, right? Which would probably be after the last regular season game. And I think that there's going to be a shakeup with the entire defensive staff. And I think there's going to be a demand that's put on recruiting. There's going to be a demand that's putting on development. There's going to be a demand on being able to sell a vision, the program, to recruits to get the right type of player into the program and compete for championships. And, look, it does include some things that are outside of your control, commitment from boosters for NIL, commitment to funding for NIL, commitment to all that goes into trying to, stay competitive within name, image, and likeness against schools that are in your league like Texas, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia. Sure, those things have to be in place, but first things first, you've got to be able to attract the talent by the football conversations. You've got to be able to stay competitive in the living room with the football conversations that you're having against your counterparts. And I think that's top of the list of what Brian Kelly, I believe, understands has to happen.
Well, this is the first year you've seen kind of the wind beneath his feet change, right? Not for so much for Brian Kelly, but in the SEC, how swiftly things can move. He commented on the Jimbo job where he's like, look, I understand how financially invested people are, and you see the buyout. I'm just kind of paraphrasing here, but they're not afraid to make financial changes or invest in financial changes just because the number might be big. And for a lot of coaches around the country, I think they saw that and they're like, the SEC is for real. You'll pay $80 million to let a guy walk? Okay. Like, you sure you want to come down and play in this conference? Like, the money looks nice until every year you're scrutinized, and it's like, what do I have to do to win these people over? And Brian Kelly probably falls somewhere in the middle of that boat of, I understand what conference I'm in. I'm saying the right things. And there's still you can even look in the chat of, I expect LSU to be in the 12-team playoff every year. Yeah. And that's not the way it's going to shake out. Probably, for the majority of the time, you can't just pencil LSU in, because when you go through and look at how it's kind of set up, it's not just the best 12 teams in the country. There's conference champions that are going to be played for. The SEC is no longer divisional next year. It's just one big melting pot of SEC teams. So you'll have one SEC winner. You won't be able to land on, they won the West. That won't be a talking point anymore. It'll be SEC championship or not. And then they'll have all the conference champions. Then you'd have to rely on an at-large bid, because you're still, now it's not, if you beat Alabama, you get a chance to play Georgia. It's whoever comes out on top. So that's what's going to make it interesting, because you don't have a lot of things that you can kind of hang your hat on, like little mile markers now. Like, you won the West. You got to play in the SEC championship. Now it's you have to win the whole thing. And I'm just interested to see how it all plays out, because LSU will probably be one of the top 12 teams in the country every year. They're not going to make the playoff every year.
Well, they should be.
Right.
And it's a lot what we talked about the last couple of months in the buildup of the changes that coming to college football. It is now built off of the NFL model.
Yep.
Right? The NFL model is capitalism at its absolute finest. I mean, like, it is the almighty dollar wins every single time. Right? And that's what college football now has opened and slid the curtain back and showed the public. That's what it's about. It's always been about that, but they've been able to hide it through these, people, gripping on what they thought the value of scholarships and the college experience. And it's all valid. It's all valid. It makes sense, but the winds shifted 15 years ago, and now all of those waves are crashing down of the change that we're experiencing. And really, it's just unveiling the curtain, throwing it back, and showing everybody, look, it's all about the money. And people are going to chase the money, and they're going to go to the money, and that's what the NFL does. And they'll
spend money to try to make more money,
a year. They want to make $30 billion, and they want to make $50 billion, and they want to make $100 billion, and that's just. I'll
take an $80 million loss at the hope of somehow this is going to make us that money back and then some.
Right. And, that's what college football is now. So these weekends, like we're about to experience, which I would label this weekend as, what game pulls you in the SEC? Tennessee, Georgia, that's going to be a rout. Right? That is going to be an absolute bloodbath. Alabama, Chattanooga, Ole Miss, UL Monroe, Mississippi State, Southern Miss, Texas A&M, Abilene Christian, LSU, Georgia Southern. I mean, these weekends will not exist anymore in college football. And if they do, they will exist in week 2 or week 0 or, it'll be like a preseason game. It'll be something that you're just so starving for football that you'll lock into Texas A&M and Abilene Christian for a couple of quarters. You know what I mean? Like you're such an addict for football, and you've been such, deprived of it for so long that you'll go tailgate all day for a 7:00 kickoff between LSU and Georgia Southern.
Hell
but
yeah!
When you put it
last night game of the year. Hell yeah!
You put it the third week. You put it the second weekend in November, where you've seen high level football. You know what it looks like. You've tasted the drug, right? I mean, when you come limping in late in the regular season with Cupcake Weekend, I mean, how many people are starting their Christmas shopping this weekend? How many people are putting up their Christmas decorations? How many people are making a road trip? How many people are traveling this weekend? I mean, I know that it's going to be tough for me to lock in to lounging and watching football on Saturday because, I mean, there are going to be better games on Friday night. And I mean that sincerely. I mean, it's the second week of the high school playoffs in the state of Louisiana. They got great games everywhere. On Saturday, it's going to be a huge letdown. I don't think those weekends will exist in where college football is expanding and going because the television advertisers, the television executives, the people that are in charge of making and selling and creating profit around this product is just not going to allow it. They know that, look, man, on the weekends that you have the Tennessee Titans playing the Washington Commanders, you better have Kansas City playing Philadelphia because there has to be some type of interest and intrigue to pull these people in and get them to watch. You can't give me Alabama and Chattanooga. You can't give me Ole Miss and UL Monroe. You know, I mean, I know that those games will continue to happen, but it can't happen in mid-November.
It's always been like that, though, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
you could.
Yeah.
Because you could. Now you can't. When you're paying $10 million a year for a coach and you're jacking up ticket prices and you're looking for ways to find. You've got to give back a product that people are going to want to be an addict for. You know, I mean,
yeah,
I mean that's the fastest way to lose. I mean, how fast do you check out of an NFL game that you could care less about? I mean, how fast do you check out of the Chargers and the Seahawks when you are
if you ain't got action on it, boss?
I mean,
it's on the TV, but I'm not locked in.
But I'll watch San Francisco and somebody, San Francisco and.
Well, that's the difference between having 32 teams and 120 teams. Like they have the chance for parity in the NFL is much higher because there's a bigger pool to pick from and only so many make the cut, right? For college football, it's been a year of parity, but the haves and have-nots are pretty decently explained whenever you look at this schedule. Like, does Chattanooga need a football team? They're putting money into it.
They'll get their entire budget this weekend.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's why they have to play these games. But when they go away and you're playing it essentially what Nick Saban is clamoring for, Brian Kelly has been on this train of just an all SEC schedule.
Yeah,
because
where
do they go turn?
I believe in 3 years you'll be at a 9-game conference schedule. They just want to see what the criteria and the protocol of the 12-team playoff is. And make no mistake about it, when they see the 12-team playoff is
right
going to bring more addicts, they're going to be like, yo, let's give them more of the drug. Let's give them 16.
I want that pure Bolivian.
Absolutely.
I don't want this stepped on shit I'm going to snort Saturday.
And when you give them 16, we all make more money.
The big dogs.
Right. Let's do this.
You don't have to cut a check to Georgia State.
I mean, in 3 years, you're going to care less about LSU, Alabama regular season football. You know, I mean, like I say, like you will care. You will pull for it in the first Saturday of November, but you're going to do that without the emotion of knowing that, like, this is going to dictate the entire season. Right? Like, I mean, it's going to...
That's where I think it still will hold water because of how the schedule... Well,
it
if
won't
you get
hold
to
the
16,
amount of weight that it did last weekend.
No. But it will... that's what made me think about this, is because of the way that LSU's schedule is set up for the foreseeable future, where they're still one of the few teams playing marquee Week 1 games, that if you blow that opportunity, now you're under the gun after Week 1. And you saw what happened if you slip up at Ole Miss, where you have maybe one drop or one bounce of the ball not go your way. Now you're sitting at 2 losses, and that's when the Alabama becomes, oh, you got to beat the boogeyman again. And LSU did that to themselves.
There's margin for error in the NFL. Look at the Bengals.
Exactly. You could start off 0-3.
Bengals playing tonight, playing the Ravens.
So I'm locked in on that one.
Right? I mean, like, that's a primetime matchup, Thursday night game that's going to pull a lot of interest, because, not just from Louisiana and Ohio. That's going to pull eyeballs from around the country, right? Because you've got 2 high-level quarterbacks in a competitive game that means something. That's what college football is trying to produce every single Saturday. I still think that you'll have your, was it Stephen Miller that typed in, it's always been like this, Week 2 and Week 12. I still think you'll have, it won't be as blatant. It won't be, you'll still have, look at LSU next season. Don't they play UCLA in Week 2?
Week 1.
No, they play USC in Week 1. Then they come home and play UCLA.
Yes. Oh, God. See?
You don't have to look very far. Look at next season's schedule for LSU. Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by Pierce Bespoke. They're a mobile tailor service headquartered in Baton Rouge. I went to a wedding this weekend, rocked my Pierce Bespoke suit, and got compliments all over the place for it. It's a tailor-made suit. It's a perfect fit for you. They outfit everyone from leaders to athletes, politicians, even the LSU football team. You can get in touch with my friend Grayson Augustus over at Pierce Bespoke, over online at piercebespoke.com. And if you mention the Culotta Show, they'll take $200 off of your custom apparel, whatever you want, sport coat, suit, if you're looking for some dress shirts, if you're looking just for a wardrobe upgrade. Get in touch with Grayson Augustus and his team over at Pierce Bespoke. They come take the measurements. They measure neck down. They allow you to build your own sport coat, your suit, your pants, your shirt. Delivery time is just about 3 to 4 weeks, one of the fastest in the country. Each Pierce Bespoke piece comes with a perfect fit guarantee. I can guarantee that as well. I just wore the suit all weekend, and man, it was comfortable. It was sharp. I got compliments on it, and really put people in touch with Grayson Augustus and told them to get in touch with him and check out the product. piercebespoke.com. Online, mention the show. You get $200 off of your custom fit.
If you can give Jordy to rant about a suit, then you've done something right. This man is anti anything that's not comfortable.
I still had the comfortable shoes on. I didn't go all in.
Well, if he starts making shoes, then maybe we'll talk. Yeah.
Right. But Pierce Bespoke suits, I don't mind them.
Got me
good,
in,
man. They're all good. But you got to check them out, piercebespoke.com. Check out Grayson Augustus and his team. Mention the show, and they'll take $200 off. All right, Jim Nagy coming up here in a couple of minutes. Really looking forward to Nagy and the conversation. What the evaluation of a lot of these guys are. Obviously, Jayden Daniels was one of the best seniors in the country. But watching him play. The anticipation of, handing out that invitation, what goes into that, a lot to get to with Nagy. If you have any if you have any questions for Nagy about the Senior Bowl that you're curious about, any prospects out there, if we can get to them, we will. But jump inside the chat, and we will get those questions over to the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl, Jim Nagy, who is set to join us next. So don't go too far. We'll be right back here with Nags. Right after this, built by R&B Builders. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Here you go.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot.
Oh, yeah.
Sticking the roof in. Hey, Greg, the roof up?
Roof's up. Roof's up. Roof's up.
Roof's up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up! Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
Well, the Ochsner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute collaborative effort was an idea from Dr. Andrews and myself to bring together two great names, the Andrews name and the Ochsner name, to elevate the quality of care for athletes in the state of Louisiana, where he's from.
I always thought I would come back to Louisiana and practice orthopedics with my subspecialty being sports medicine. This was an opportunity through Ochsner's to come back and work the entire state to help develop and take sports medicine to a new level.
As an orthopedic surgeon, what this means in the future in terms of, access for our community to the type of care that Dr. Andrews pioneered, words can't describe how valuable that is.
Ochsner has a great opportunity here to really grow, and Dr. Burnham, of course, is the mainstay of making that happen. If you want to have first-class sports medicine care, check in with Dr. Burnham and his group, and you'll be more than impressed and pleased.
See y'all there.
All right, welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show is always built by our friend Rhett Bourgeois over at RMB Builders. Check him out online at rmb-builders.com. And our friends over at Barker Brothers Plumbing. Remember Jude Barker and Barker Brothers Plumbing you can get in touch with. Got a couple of trucks in East Baton Rouge Parish every single day. Originate out of Plaquemine, Louisiana. Always appreciate his support. Looking forward to our next conversation. Always love catching up with the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. Lloyd and I were talking about it in the opening segment of today, of just what this bowl game has become, man. I mean, it's always been there in Mobile. It's always had the top players in college football. It's always had the interest in the game on Saturday. But Jim Nagy has turned this into an event. I mean, this thing is a week build up to the game on Saturday. It's all about the week-long practice. In fact, if you saw Jayden Daniels accepting his Senior Bowl invitation in Baton Rouge yesterday, you saw Brandon Landry, former CEO of Walk-Ons, describing the relationship that they have with the Senior Bowl. They sponsor the week of practice. Like the lead up is something that sponsors and high level companies are interested in supporting. And Jim Nagy's done an incredible job, man, of doing that. And always love to talk to him. Jim, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Jordy.
Yesterday, good to see you in Baton Rouge, spending a little time at Walk-Ons and talking to who we believe to be the best player in college football. What was the evaluation of Jayden Daniels like, and then the ultimate decision to get down here to Baton Rouge and extend the invite to him?
Yeah, it was a quick back and forth from Mobile yesterday. It really isn't a bad drive.
Yeah, right.
It was pretty quick, but no, I think I talked to you last year about it. I felt like Jayden was the most improved quarterback we saw last year from beginning to end. I was at that Florida State game a year ago, and then saw him middle of the season, and then watching his late tape. I mean, just the comfort level. And now he's gone from comfortable to this year really having full command of that offense and just the position. To me, and you've seen it. I mean, how they've been so good this year. And I think where Jayden's really made his biggest stride, if you wanted to like pinpoint one area, is just the comfort level in the pocket, and then the decision making when to take off, when to use those legs, when to use that speed, and when to hang in there and make that throw. And I think some of the downfield stuff has been better this year as well. And he's got two great playmakers. Let's not avoid that. I mean, Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas are great players, first, second round type talent. So, but Jayden's had a great year, so we wanted to get over there. You brought up Brandon Landry. In my 6 years here at the Senior Bowl, I've been fortunate enough to mix with a lot of people in the business world. Brandon's different, man. He is just as successful as he's come and grown that Baton Rouge based business. He's just a great guy. He stayed true to himself, and he's just a really easy dude to connect with. So we usually do those in-person invites with walk-ons at smaller schools for like walk-on type players. We did one at Kansas State last week with a all Big 12 tight end at Kansas State who was a walk-on. So we usually don't do it with such a high-profile player, but with Jayden, it just made a lot of sense. So we did it there at Brandon's original location. That's a stone's throw from the football facility in Baton Rouge, yeah. And yeah, man, it was great. It was a really fun afternoon.
Yeah, Joe Sloan, the quarterback's coach, who deserves so much credit of the development of Jayden over the last 2 years since he's been on campus, was there at the table with him. It was cool content that came out with that invitation. Jim, obviously you watch a ton of football. Can you talk about the level of quarterback play that you're seeing this season, specifically from this senior class, guys like Penix and Daniels and the crew that's leading the way?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really deep class. I think some of the guys have kind of separated themselves this fall. Going into the year, there were a ton of names. You don't get a lot of household names in college athletics anymore, especially like basketball. These guys are all one and done. But in football, some of these guys are on year 5, year 6 in programs, and so like the Sam Hartmans at Notre Dame, that was a big name coming into the year, transferring from Wake Forest, But yeah, I mean, I think if you look at the top of the quarterback stack in the seniors, in whatever order you want to put it, it's probably Bo Nix, Michael Pratt from Tulane, Michael Penix at Washington, and Jayden Daniels at LSU. I think those are the top 4 for us. They're the top 4 for the league. And then you get into the Spencer Rattlers, who's had a really nice season at South Carolina, Joe Milton at Tennessee. Will Howard at Kansas State. I brought up Kansas State. He's having a great year. So yeah, there's a lot of depth to this class. There's a few quarterbacks in this year's class that we in normal years would be here at the Senior Bowl and we'd love to have here. And we're just not going to have room for them this year, especially because now we can bring juniors. So that brings Drake May at North Carolina into play, J.J. McCarthy at Michigan, Quinn Ewers at Texas. So it's, the ruling that came down last week that we can bring all underclassmen to the game really just ratcheted up, the competitive level and the star power of the game. And it's a great thing.
How does that go into your scouting? I mean, I see you at games. I know what you're looking at. You're looking at, steady prospect after prospect. I mean, this has opened up a whole new wave of of guys for you and your team, right?
It has. I mean, this wasn't new news to us last week. I mean, we've been in talks with the NFL league office since August about this. So our scouts have, we've got 10 scouts all over the country, out in California and Oregon and Arizona, all the way over to the East Coast. And so we were watching the juniors. I think we had reports in on 60 to 70 juniors, but what last week's announcement created was a flood of agent calls and texts to me of juniors that we had not accounted for, right? And they're just kind of fishing for an invite at this point, trying to see that, like, hey, if this guy gets a Senior Bowl invite, he'll leave early, that kind of thing. And now that we've had to circle back and watch the tape on some of those guys, they're not guys we would want in this year's game. They should definitely go back to school. So, the agents play a big part in this thing because of the NIL world. 3 years ago, I think anyone in Baton Rouge would cringe if they saw an agent on their campus, and now you can't keep them out. These guys officially work for the student athletes at LSU, so you have to allow them on campus. So they play a big role, and they're representing freshmen and sophomores right now. So there has just been the junior names have come out of the woodworks in the last week. So that's forced us to scramble a little bit. But for the top guys, the Malik Neighbors, the Brian Thomases, the Mason Smith. I mean, guys that were already on our radar, we feel like we have a good handle on. It's these, some of these pop-up guys that we're having to do some extra work on.
Jim, put some perspective on this for us. You saw, obviously, Jefferson and Chase here a couple of seasons ago. What are Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas as far as the evaluation and scouting, kind of not necessarily compared to those guys, but just seeing greatness as close as we did, within the last 5 years? It feels like here it is again.
Yeah, there it is. It's definitely, these two guys are definitely in that caliber. I think, whatever NFL scout you talk to, they're going to have those guys that, in the top 50 to 75 picks and potentially higher. Neighbors maybe a little bit higher. So, and they're different players, but they're both playmakers. At the end of the day, that's what the NFL is looking for, is guys that can make plays, whether it's underneath with run after catch, whether it's with speed down the field, or a combination of both. And both those guys are playmakers. I mean, Brian Thomas gets a little overshadowed by Neighbors, but he's going to run super fast when he comes out, and he's going to be one of the top height, weight, speed receivers in the draft. And you look at a league right now that's really focused on physical traits of players, and just banking on the physical potential of a guy, sometimes overproduction. And Brian has the production to back it up as well. But teams are going to be enamored with that height, weight, speed, and that's the bottom line. So, two really good ones. I mean, that's kind of been LSU's went from DBU to a wide receiver U over the last couple of years. Those two guys have had a great year.
Jim, back to the quarterback. You spent 18 years as an NFL scout. You were on 6 teams that went to a Super Bowl. You were a part of 4 that won the title. How has evaluating quarterback changed in that time period? I mean, it feels like Daniels would not have been, from a skill set standpoint, somebody that would have attracted the NFL maybe even 5, 6 to 10 years ago.
Jordy, I think he would have. Honestly, I'm not trying to go against you. I think he would have because he's a big guy, a tall guy. He's got a nice frame. I joked with him yesterday. The first time I saw Jayden Daniels was in, I think, the fall of 2018, maybe, or 19. It was one of my second year here at the Senior Bowl. And they had a receiver at Arizona State named Brandon Ayuk, who fantasy football players will know because Brandon's become a stud receiver for the 49ers. And we were scouting him on the road at Michigan State. And I think that was Jayden's freshman year, and he was like a $155 or a $160 or whatever he weighed back then. Mm-hmm. So he's put on about 50 pounds. But I think where the evolution of the quarterback position is gone, and I think Drew Brees kind of started it, and then Russell Wilson took it to the next level, and now they're like the Kyler Murrays. It's just the NFL is more open-minded to smaller quarterbacks. But Jayden's a big guy. I think the run aspect, I mean, you can always go back in time, whether it's like Randall Cunningham or Steve Young and guys that have been able to be dual threats. I mean, the league has always liked those guys. I think where the quarterback position has changed in the NFL is teams are just more open to little guys, and we saw that last year with Bryce Young as well.
I saw you at the LSU-Bama game. It seems like that's a game that's regularly on your list. Does that game still stack up as far as the prospects go when you go see the 2023 edition of it?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's the one game every year. Every scout, every director level guy over the top scout, GM will be circling every year to get to. This year's version of it, a lot of really good players. I don't know if there was as many first rounders as sometimes we see between those two teams. And again, a lot of LSU's talent is young, and same with Alabama. Alabama's got a lot of young talent too, especially in the secondary. So maybe not the high first. It wasn't the Joe Burrow year. It wasn't 2019 where you said first rounders running all over the place. But certainly in terms of like comparatively to other football games across college football, there's not a better game than that. You'd be hard pressed to find a better NFL scouting game than that game.
Jim, back to Jayden real quick. What's the ceiling on him from a draft standpoint? I mean, could he legitimately be a top 10 pick?
I think that's unrealistic right now.
Uh-huh.
I told him the other day, I told him yesterday when we spoke, I was in the press box at the Alabama game and sit next to a couple guys that I worked a long time in the league with. And I asked one of them, I said, where do you think Jayden goes? And he said 4th. And I see Jayden as a higher draft pick than that myself. And so when Jayden was doing what he was doing against Florida the other night, I texted him, I'm like, I don't think he's getting to the 4th. But again, and this isn't particular to Jayden. The draft media is really dangerous.
Yeah.
Right. Like they suit these kids up for gold jackets really early, and there's no accountability. So unfortunately, sometimes players read that, their families read that, they buy into it, their friends buy into it. And then they're just setting themselves up for a huge letdown. So like when I get with players and they ask me, like I won't offer it up, but if they want to know where they're projected, like the real information, like I always tell them, because there's nothing worse on draft weekend than a disappointed player. They should be excited about going on to the next level, regardless of where they get picked. So, I think Jayden's going to go somewhere on day 2. I mean, that's where he is probably right now. If we had calls with 15 teams trying to put our roster together. So I do feel like I've got a pretty good handle on Jayden's range, but yeah, I would say probably in that second to 4th area for most teams. I don't know if we talked to anyone that had him in the 1st. So right now, top 10 seems really premature.
I saw Kevin Mawai made the all 75 edition of the Senior Bowl. When you go down the list, Jim, of the players that have been in this game, I mean, it's incredible to see the amount of talent that has run through Mobile in the lead up to the draft. How difficult was it to make that team?
Really hard, man. There were some really tough cuts. So, we did a fan vote we did like a 5-week fan vote online, got, a couple 100,000 votes for that. And then we pulled all 32 NFL GMs. That was part of it. That was cool. I had to hound a couple of those guys to get their ballots in, but we got it done. And then we've got a Senior Bowl Hall of Fame committee that really kind of, when it was really close, in the really close ones were like at defensive end. The two guys that were clear were Michael Strahan, former New York Giant, and then DeMarcus Ware from the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
Two pretty good ones. And then the guy that got in, it was down to the 3rd spot was between Jason Taylor from the Miami Dolphins and Dwight Freeney from the Colts. And Taylor ended up. Yeah, so when Dwight Freeney gets beat out for your 75th team, you've got a pretty good roster. And then the other one was at wide receiver. The receivers were Terrell Owens was the top vote getter, and then it was Torrey Holt, who's got a gold jacket, Reggie Wayne, who will have a gold jacket, and then that 4th spot came down to Hines Ward and Chad Johnson. And Hines Ward got the nod. More Pro Bowl, Super Bowl MVP. So that's what you're talking about at some of these positions. I mean, we put Kevin Falk in our Senior Bowl Hall of Fame a couple years ago, and he finished way down the line at running back. I mean, I think he was, finished like 8th or 9th in the balloting for running back. So, it was really fun putting together that team. I connected with Kevin the other day. I'd met him a couple times before, but reaching out to all these guys, and letting them know, and we're going to be able to bring them back to Mobile. The NFLPA is sponsoring our 75th anniversary celebration.
Oh, wow.
So it'd be one thing to name this team, but it's a whole another level, like to bring them back to Mobile and get them here for game week. So we're going to be able to do that. We're really excited about it. We sent out these really awesome packages to the players this week. There'll be some great content coming out of some NFL teams. I know the Saints are doing something with Jimmy Graham about it. So no, it's been a really cool thing, really fun.
When do you finalize the roster?
That's going to be way more of a fluid process now that this junior thing is involved and the NIL. Man, like 2 years ago, we would invite players. This roster was locked in by probably December 10th. You might lose a guy that got injured during training, or an agent might pull a guy once Daniel Jeremiah puts him in his top 25 or something leading into the game. But for the most part, it was locked in. I think now we can't even invite the juniors until they officially declare. So that's going to be a waiting game. And then this NIL money, we lost a bunch of players last year that were committed to playing the game, and then their coaching staff huddled up after the year, and they got the collective involved, and they ponied up enough money to get them back on campus. So it is truly a fluid process. We might not have this roster done until the Saturday before player arrival day on Sunday, late in January. So we'll see.
What a cool process this has become, Jim, and what a cool game and week and everything that you have made this, man. You and your team have done a fantastic job over the last 6 years. I mean, I think Walk-On's sponsoring the week of practice says just about all of it. Thank you as always for your time. Great insight, and we'll link up again soon.
Yeah, Jordy, thanks for having me back on, man. I appreciate it. Have a good rest of your week, and have a great Thanksgiving holiday.
There he is, Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl over in Mobile. It's a great spot. I'm telling you, it's a cool spot to really just kind of go check out a lot of talent of football players and scouting and kind of a who's who. I was telling the story of we went over there. Stringfellow has been running like the equipment. He's from Mobile. Greg Stringfellow is like originally from Mobile. So he is has great connections with the Senior Bowl, like growing up. Like when he came to LSU and started running the, he started running the equipment and became the equipment manager. He would take like the LSU equipment staff over there for the week, and they would like work the game. And he did that he probably did that for 20 years, 25 years, maybe even longer. And one of the times that he was over there, T-Bob and I went and met him, and we went to a great little breakfast spot in Mobile that's right there in the middle of downtown. And, I mean, Belichick and Scott Pioli were, like, sitting, like, 4 tables away from us. I mean, it's just, like, all these NFL people just, like, bouncing around. They're accessible. I mean, not to the mouth breathers, but, I mean, if you want to take your kid to go watch the Senior Bowl practice, and, I mean, odds are you'll probably end up in a lunch spot or a breakfast spot with, one of your favorite coaches or, just somebody around the team. It's very low key.
Feels very late night. You might run into somebody. It feels like it's a who's who of where we going, boys.
I mean,
honey, I'm working.
It's a hell of a time, man. I mean, like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Like, I had no clue.
You look up, it's 3:30 in the morning, you're at the hotel bar.
Oh, my God. Like, I mean.
I'm unwinding.
This is where stuff gets done in the NFL as well. Like, I mean, like, you can tell, like, business is being.
They're holding court.
Like, they're doing, like, people are getting jobs. People are,
losing jobs.
Yeah, losing jobs, exactly. I mean, it's all happening.
I'd imagine that's a lot. It's also a place where a lot of, like, draft day deals could go down. Like, I'd imagine you compare some notes. You're looking like, all right, if I want him here and you want him here, like we could find a way. I'll call you. You keep in touch because people know, they know what other picks that they have. And you're looking at now juniors and seniors, which I was going through Nagy's Twitter a little bit, and he got a little bit of pushback for having juniors in there because a lot of the feel good was seniors from smaller schools getting an invitation and almost getting drafted off of Senior Bowl tape. Yeah. Like you've seen the climb throughout the years of players that weren't widely known get a chance in front of these coaches. Like Julian Edelman's one of the better stories of the Senior Bowl. Yeah. And so you kind of lose some of that. But when you're on this meteoric rise of what college football has become, he'd almost be foolish not to do it. Like with NIL and where it is now, you have to kind of – he's on the forefront of what the Senior Bowl should be, and he's yet to make a mistake with it. So that's just some of the things that you lose with it, and it could be an avenue where they open up a small schools version of the Senior Bowl that they could run. Yeah. Where you get a different.
Yeah, it feels like the game will probably expand.
Right.
Like the whole experience, it will expand. I mean, it can.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's got everything. It's got everything that it needs to be there for more time if you need it. I mean, it's It's a great little, I mean, what has
It ain't
turned
little
in.
anymore.
Yeah, right. I was about to say it's not so small anymore. I mean, Nagy's done an incredible job of building that thing up. Remember our friends over at Hebert's Specialty Meats. We got locations in Geismar and on Robert's on Highland Road in Robert's grocery store. You can pick up. So if you're getting ready for Thanksgiving, obviously the stuffed turkeys, the turduckens, all of the fixings are over at Hebert's Specialty Meats, located in Gonzales and over here in Baton Rouge on Highland Road in Robert's in Robert's grocery store. Also want to tell you about their gift card promotion, which is awesome. If you buy $100 worth of gift cards, you'll receive a $25 gift card for free. So if you're looking to knock out some gifts for the holidays, these are great for people, for employees, for clients, for family, anybody who you have on your holiday list. The gift card promotion over at Hebert's Specialty Meats is one worth paying attention to. For every $100 you spend, they'll give you a $25 gift card for free. So you spend $200 on your gift cards, you get $50 in gift cards for free. I mean, you're talking about knocking out some good gifts for people that you may work with, or people may be close in family. This is great gift ideas for them. Hebert's Specialty Meats, located in Gonzales over in Geismar, and on Highland Road in Robert's grocery store. Check him out. Hour 2, we're going to talk to Chris Blair. We also have to get in on the South Carolina women's basketball crowd, who, I mean, it is amazing how soft and how much they have rabbit ears and how fast they react. Obviously, Joyce Edwards, the number 2 overall player in the country yesterday, who is from South Carolina, committed to South Carolina yesterday. And I mean, last night when I opened up my social media, I thought Jayden Daniels announced like he was skipping the rest of the season. It had like 220 mentions. I'm like, what in the hell is going on? Like, I really was. I was waiting to see, like, Jayden Daniels announces he is out for the rest of the year. Joe Sloan had taken a job with somebody else. Bryce Underwood had committed to LSU a couple of weeks early. No, it is the South Carolina women's basketball crowd in my mentions making sure I know that Joyce Edwards committed to South Carolina and Coach Staley's team. Rick, #Gamecock, just tweeted at me 12 minutes ago, LSU hadn't beat Coach Staley's team. I don't think they ever will. Better thank USC for wearing down Iowa so LSU had a remote chance. I mean, like, brother almighty. Another one. He started it off 15 hours ago. This guy, Preying on Downfalls, is his name on X. On Downfalls BR is his handle. First on the docket, at Jordy Culotta, at Culotta Show. Bring your dumbass to the front. Why is it that Kim drove that ugly old ass Mercedes to come pick up Joyce and not get her? Coach D landed the biggest one out of all of these, and she's got the screenshot of a tweet from back on May 6th when we asked the question, hey, real question, why does Dawn keep missing on these players she's recruiting against Coach Mulkey? She recruited LSU's entire recruiting class, number 1 in the nation. She recruited Angel, Haley, and Anissa. Why can't she land anyone? I see USCE is in a lots of finals list. Just never see Coach D land one, was the screenshot of the tweet that we put out back on May 6th. Brother Almighty is still tweeting at me. On Downfalls is still tweeting at me. Over 200 mentions last night from the South Carolina basketball crowd in November. By the way, in November, still getting riled up over recruiting. Congratulations, you landed a hometown kid.
This is like LSU.
Isn't that what Dawn's supposed to be doing? I mean, God forbid if Kim comes in your backyard and takes the number 1 recruit out of the area from a premier women's basketball program, right? Like Coach Staley runs. then, I mean, this can't be that big of news for you. But the fact that it is on November 16th says really everything you need to know, man. You know, like, I didn't even know that basketball season was here. We're covering a Heisman Trophy candidate. LSU's fighting for a good bowl to play in late in the year. They had the number one offense in the country. I did see that they lost to Colorado a couple of weeks back in early November. They'll get it right, and I suspect they'll have it right for that Thursday trip that you make down here in January. So we'll see you then. But as for the mentions and as for the numbers climbing, thanks again. I mean, you all are the softest fan base I have ever run across. I would not know you won championships if I just didn't know the history of the game. If I just ran across you all on social media, I would think that you're a losing program, that you have never even tasted winning, because this is how losers act, quite frankly. But again, thank you for all of the attention, and stay in our mentions. Continue to come at us, and we'll see you January 25th in the Maravich Center. Hour 2 next, Jordy Culotta Show, built by R&B.
And get it done. Get Gordon. And get it done. Corrects done. Personal injury done. Workers' comp done. Truck wrecks done. Get Gordon. And get it done. Get Gordon. And get it done.
It was Christmas Eve. Santa Claus was riding in his sleigh. He was packed with toys for the girls and boys, merrily on his way. When a bridge riding on a reindeer pulled right. Santa Claus got Gordon, got it done.
Merry Christmas from Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and in every Louisiana house, all the creatures were stirring.
Santa's coming.
Even the mouse. The stockings were hung, the cookies were out. Santa was on his way to Louisiana, there was no doubt. So let's celebrate the season and start the new year off right. Merry Christmas to all, and to all, a good night.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Okay, Gordon, ready to talk a little bit about yourself today? Okay, good. Tell us, who is Gordon McKernan?
Great question. In a lot of ways, I'm just like most people. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a son. I am a brother. I'm a Christian. I am a Tigers fan. I am a Louisiana sportsman. But above all, I am grateful to the people of Louisiana. We want to be your lawyers for life. Hi, I'm Gordon McKernan. Everyone has a special Christmas memory. One of mine is when I woke up on Christmas morning, ran down the stairs, and there it was, a brand new red bicycle.
That is why this Christmas, Gordon McKernan is giving away over 425 bicycles throughout the state of Louisiana.
To register, please fill out a form online at GordonGives.com or GetGordon.com. And make sure to visit the Get Gordon Facebook page for additional details and chances to win. From all of us here at Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, Merry Christmas and God bless.
Offensive player of the game from LSU, Joe Burrow.
Football is life.
Football is Joe Burrow.
Finishing us! Let's be special! Let's be strong! Let's spell greatness from the top! 1, 2, 3!
We're all from different places and backgrounds. We've each experienced our own versions of life, but in the end, we're all on the same team. I'm part of that team, along with these players in purple and gold.
Kayshawn Buddha, Malik Neighbors, Miles Frazier,
Kyron Lacy,
Greg Brooks.
Whether on the field or in the courtroom, your team matters.
So join our team.
make a difference.
Bet. Let's get it done.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Here we go.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us.
Get it done.
Big Dog Productions.
FYP come shop with me.
All right, welcome back here. Hour 2, Jordy Culotta Show. As always, we are built by RMB Builders. Check them out online at rmb-builders.com and on Instagram at RMB Builders. Remember, daily, we're brought to you by our friends over at Go Roof, GEAUX roof.com. Check out Go Roof online or hit them up at 225-927-8300. Roofs up with our friends over at Go Roof, the absolute best.
Cordell, this is a banger of an intro, so good for Go Roofs. They get a hell of some music underneath it.
Happy birthday to our boy Cordell.
Yes.
Who has helped the brand of the show and support our guy who is out there with blood, sweat, and tears. I got a sweatshirt for you on my desk across the street.
Thank you.
They rated me, though. The Click Here Digital team rated me, Cordell. So we got a couple
boots
of
on the ground.
A's walking around with blood, sweat, tear hoodies on. But I did keep one for Lloyd. He's got his on the desk. But we are brought to you by Go Roof online at GEAUXroof.com, 225-927-8300. Been raining all week here in South Louisiana. Been dreary, gray, ugly weather, really. If you have any leaks around the house, if you have anything you want the boys to jump up on the roof and see if there's any problems, they do it. They'll do it today if you want to get in touch with them. Online at GEAUXroof.com, 225-927-8300. Tell them you heard it on the show. Go Roof, a beautiful roof every single time. Roofs up with our friends over at Go Roof. The South Carolina women's basketball crowd is by far, without question, the softest championship supporters I have ever run across. I had no idea either. I'm trying to think how it started. It obviously was probably started from me needling someone about the recruits that Mulkey was bagging last year, that they all think now she's like rolling out these $1 million paychecks for, and saying that they don't have to go to class and they get cars. And I mean, look, make your storylines up to make yourself feel better as much as you need to. I get it. Look, I've been on the other side of it. I know what this feels like. I know what this looks like when an emperor comes into your backyard or goes into your sport that you feel like you've got this grip on. Right? I mean, I can remember the time like it was yesterday when Nick Saban was introduced as the Alabama head football coach. It was the same day that LSU played Notre Dame in the Sugar Bowl back in 2006. It was a day that you wanted to celebrate LSU, but you knew in the back of your mind, man, all of this is over. It's going to be over quick because this guy is going to come in here, raid everything that we got good, and he's going to put his foot on your neck for as long as he wants to hang, especially if you keep this guy in charge like Les Miles, who's just going to leave yourself exposed and open at nearly every turn, every corner, every way that Saban could get in. He just went and captured North Louisiana. He came down and cherry-picked some of the high-level recruits in South Louisiana, like Landon Collins and guys like that. So I know what it's like right now for South Carolina, knowing that you're taking on water, knowing that you're looking around and you don't really believe in Dawn Staley as she walks up and down the sidelines with other people's jerseys on at a game, which, I mean, like, that's what it was. That's how it started. That's how this whole thing started. I forgot all about it. That's how it started. We were just watching women's college basketball game one day, and it was like these games where Dawn Staley's got the best team in the country. I mean, she's got like the 92 Dream Team out there, and she's rocking like other people's jerseys. And we just asked the simple question, hey, isn't it fair if I'm paying you to represent South Carolina, when you're on the sideline coaching the team, is it too much to ask to just wear a logo of South Carolina women's basketball somewhere rather than the Philadelphia Eagles? Is that unfair? We just asked that question, and the South Carolina women's basketball crowd rained down on us as if we had called Dawn Staley Satan herself. Like, I mean, like we were name calling. They came at us just because we asked a simple question of, isn't it fair? Like, if South Carolina's paying you to either stay neutral or rock South Carolina gear, don't represent somebody else's brand while you're on television for 3 hours, right? And I mean, like, the just implosion of this crowd I never knew existed. I didn't even know that South Carolina cared that much about sports.
The whole beef began when, obviously, the Kim Mulkey hire, and then...
I didn't even know it. I didn't really put it out there then. I didn't think that LSU was going to have any...
No, this is what I think was the impetus of this entire thing, was that Dawn Staley tried to put it on LSU and Kim Mulkey's head that they didn't support LSU basketball, and they didn't...
Yeah,
who was the former coach?
Nikki Caldwell.
That if Nikki Caldwell had gotten more support from the LSU contingency, they wouldn't have to go out and make a hire like Kim Mulkey. Dawn, you're scared.
Yeah,
that's
right.
all that tells me.
And that's what this whole thing has been about. Like, I mean, it's been so clear that Dawn hates Kim Mulkey, right? Like, I mean, she absolutely hates her. I mean, there's stories that exist from recruits of what Dawn has told people to, like Angel Del Rosario, I believe, was the recruit. I don't want to put her name out there, but I mean, it was someone that both schools were recruiting, and Dawn Staley kept asking the recruit and the mom to, hey, ask him what she thinks about Brittany Griner. Ask her what she thinks about Brittany Griner. And finally, when they walked in, they were like, hey, Dawn Staley keeps asking me to ask you what you want to say about Brittany Griner. And she said, well, cool, bring everybody in here. Bring everybody who means something to you in this recruitment, and let me tell you my thoughts on Brittany Griner, and you guys can ask me any questions. And they went through the Q&A. They went through the stance. They got no problem. And the players on campus with LSU. It's like behind the back, you want to turn them into a villain when just do your job. Like, don't worry about what's going on at LSU. You're so worried about what's going on at LSU where you feel like you have to make these comments all the time where you just look, man, the monster, the beast is here. And we'll find out on January 25th.
And another reason, if you're celebrating the number 2 recruit in the country that's in your own backyard like this, you knew that there was real potential that she could have flipped LSU. Like, you were concerned about her going to LSU. It's not let's do we get to do our dance now. It's because you knew there was a legitimate chance LSU was going to land the number 1 player in your backyard and get her to come to LSU. That's why you have to celebrate today, because you've been nervous all year about this happening, and you could finally breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah, I mean, it's
like when LSU and you had the Leonard Fournette commitment. Like, everybody collectively was still there holding their breath because Nick Saban is in the running. Every time you see an LSU football player listed and you see Alabama, you go, well, if he really wants him, he can probably get him. And that's what happened with Dylan Moses, Landon Collins, like going down the list. South Carolina finally now has a real threat where they see LSU on the top 3. They go, well, you can go to LSU.
Lucius Felter, Jordy, she's from Philly, and the Eagles were in the Super Bowl.
I know.
Who cares? I mean, like, how many coaches walk the sideline where their team are playing in a championship setting? Does that give them the right to go put on a jersey while you're on the clock representing another school or university or brand? I mean, it would be like the Philadelphia Eagles head coach rocking a South Carolina women's basketball jersey on the sideline and saying, well, South Carolina's in the championship and I'm a huge fan. Well, I don't care. You're on television for the next 4 hours representing Philadelphia Eagles. Put the gear on. I mean, look, man, it it's not that big of a deal. I was just asking a question. I mean, like, I was just kind of pointing it out, and the implosion following was really the story, right? So I didn't know they were this soft. That's the point. Like, the fact that I know now, it's fun to mess with them. Like, it's fun to go back and forth with them. I'm telling you, when I checked my mentions last night, I thought Jayden Daniels was skipping the rest of the year. I had South Carolina landed the number 2 recruit in the country
From South Carolina?
Okay, all right. Well, thanks for the mentions in November. Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by Katie's Restaurant. Katie's in New Orleans. They're on Iberville Street. Katie'sInMidCity.com is there, where you can find them online. They got great New Orleans specials. You got coldest beer in town. Service is fantastic. If you're looking for the taste of New Orleans, the feel of New Orleans, stop into Katie's and tell them you heard it here on the show. Chris Blair just walked in. We will talk to him next. What was it like to be firsthand on those calls? Last Saturday night as Jayden Daniels is making history in college football. We'll talk to the voice next here on the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, brought to you by Carriages when he shows up. Come back with us.
Why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot. Oh, yeah. Sticking the roof in. Hey, Greg, roof up? Roof's up. Roof's up. Roof's up. Roof's up? Roof's up. Roof's up! Beautiful roof every single time. True. True.
Well, the Ochsner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute collaborative effort was an idea from Dr. Andrews and myself to bring together 2 great names, the Andrews name and the Ochsner name, to elevate the quality of care for athletes in the state of Louisiana, where he's from.
I always thought I would come back to Louisiana and practice orthopedics with my subspecialty being sports medicine. This was an opportunity through Ochsner's to come back and work the entire state to help develop and take sports medicine to a new level.
As an orthopedic surgeon, what this means in the future in terms of, access for our community to the type of care that Dr. Andrews pioneered, words can't describe how valuable that is.
Ochsner has a great opportunity here to really grow, and Dr. Burnham, of course, is the mainstay of making that happen. If you want to have first-class sports medicine care, check in with Dr. Burnham and his group, and you'll be more than impressed and pleased.
I'm Tom Granite with
Offensive player of the game from LSU, Joe Burrow.
Football is life. Football is Joe Burrow.
Finishing us! Finishing us! Let's be special! Let's be strong! Let's spell greatness from the top! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
All right, welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show, as always. We are built by R&B Builders. RMB-Builders.com is where you can find them online. And every Thursday, we talk to the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, who will be on the call this Saturday night for this will be a cool one for you, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, Georgia State was a big rival of Georgia Southern, so, it's amazing. Georgia State didn't have football until 2010.
Wow.
Now, Georgia Southern and Georgia State had played basketball in the same conference since the 70s, the old Trans-American, the TAC. And believe it or not, Georgia State as a basketball and baseball school was actually, one of the founding members of the Sun Belt. Then they left the Sun Belt, and anyway, it's interesting. It's a new program that's 12, 13 years old, and some parallels. Bill Curry was actually the first coach that started the program for their first season in 2010. Trent Miles actually took Georgia State to a bowl game, I want to say in 15 maybe. He's an analyst now at LSU. I see him all the time over at Football Ops. And then Sean Elliott, was on Steve Spurrier's team, was the offensive line coach at South Carolina during those Spurrier years until the old ball coach decided he just wanted to play golf. And then Sean actually was named the interim when Steve, sailed off to the country club and then, was hired as the head coach at Georgia State. So, it's a team that struggled. I think they were 6-1 at some point and was like making some noise with James Madison and even Georgia Southern, my old school. And then they played Georgia Southern in Statesboro, and the Eagles broke them. And now they've lost 3 straight.
Wow.
So they're trying to get right. But it's it's an exciting time for them. I talked to their play-by-play guy, and he said, "Hey, everybody's just fired up to go play on a Saturday night in Death Valley, whether there's 100,000 or 80,000 or whatever. It's a big opportunity." But they struggle. They're near the bottom in most statistical categories. They got a really good running back. Their quarterback is serviceable. I mean, he's thrown, I think, maybe 130 yards a game. But they're gonna struggle mightily. Certainly defensively, if that kid Jayden continues to do what he's doing.
How good is he?
He's incredible, man. It's funny. I've been watching all this debate because a lot of it. I mean, LSU obviously has put on the high gear for the political campaign, which they should. Jayden deserves that. And frankly, that's what it takes in this day and age to get out there and promote your kid as a Heisman candidate to try to garner some votes. But I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. I mean, I don't. Again, I know I'm biased. I've looked through a purple and gold lens. I've never denied that. But I got to tell you, even if he had played exceptionally well and had really good numbers, but didn't have the yardage, didn't have the touchdowns, didn't have the rushing yards, the passing yards, completion percentage, plays over 20-plus yards. Even if I wouldn't say he's the Heisman. I'd say he's a candidate. And frankly, I think you might have heard me at some point, like week 4 or 5, saying, hey, look, he ought to be in New York. Mm-hmm. But now he's the winner. He's the best player in college football. What he did Saturday night was not against an FCS team. And I know this isn't the greatest Florida defense in the history of the game, but he was blowing by guys. Like, they didn't look like SEC players. That's how bad he made them look.
He did.
Patrick Wright, who I'm blessed,
P. Diddy.
He's the best stat guy in the business. And there's been games I've called here at LSU where a guy has set a school record or has been the first guy since this guy or, whatever. That 19 team certainly had their share. But Saturday night, Patrick was handing me note after note. There's a school record. There's another school record. That's an SEC record. And the end of the night, he's like, I'm pretty sure that's an FBS record. All of college football ever. Like, okay, it's the Heisman. What are we doing here?
Absolutely.
So I don't know if he'll win it or not. The best player in college football is Jayden Daniels in 2023, and it's frankly not even close.
How good is Malik Neighbors?
That's what's funny as I was listening to Ryan Day do his song and dance, which I know he's got to do for Marvin Harrison. And I'm like, wait a minute, are we talking the Biletnikoff? Are we talking the Heisman? Which award are you talking about? Because I don't see Harrison beating Malik Neighbors. No offense.
I agree.
The size, the strength, the speed, what he does after the catch. He and Brian Thomas both. That's the second game they've each had over 130 yards receiving. the way they use Malik, he's not just a guy that go. I mean, I know it's a shovel pass and technically it's a pass, but it's a run. You know, I mean, he's running from the line of scrimmage with the football, and he's incredible doing it. And so is Brian Thomas. So, yeah, that was we were trying on the radio to make sure people didn't forget. Yes, Jayden did something no FBS player had ever done before in a single game. But lest we forget, Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Neighbors had over 130 yards receiving each. So yeah, it's they are certainly spoiled with riches on that LSU offense.
Yeah, offense, man. It's just it's almost embarrassing how good they are.
It's funny. I went back Sunday and watched the game, and I've told this story a couple times this week. But when I think about, they had some plays where he had the 85-yarder and the 51-yarder, and they slowed it down, they zoomed in a little bit, and I'm watching Jayden run, and I'm thinking of Barry Sanders or Bo Jackson or you name, the guys who were not only powerful but super speedy.
Herschel
Walker comes to mind. And you would see those old videos. I think, I hear the NFL Films music. And, like, the shoulder pads are shaking, the helmet's going up and down, like their face is all wrinkled. Like and Jayden's like, if you show him from the waist up, he doesn't even look like he's moving.
It's unreal.
He looks like if you've ever went through one of the big airports, I'm sure you have, the people mover. Like there's people who want to get the heart healthy and they walk. The other people get on the people mover, and it's just like that. The same body movement, but one is literally leaving the other in the dust, and that's what Jayden looked like a bunch of times this year, but certainly on Saturday night.
It's hard to explain how and what he's doing to college football because he makes it look so easy where it's just not supposed to be, man. It's just not supposed to look as easy as it does.
You know what Jack Marucci told me? Jack did our podcast on Tuesday, and I mentioned that to him. I said, he's not a violent runner. He's able to get to 21 miles an hour, nearly 22 miles an hour, and yet his body doesn't look it. That's why he's deceivingly fast. And Jack said he has a gift where he uses absolutely no wasteful movement in his body and is still able to create that type of speed. He said that's not. I said, can you teach somebody to run that way where they don't have their arms flailing and their legs aren't high stepping? He was like, no, not really. It's just he can create that speed with that little body motion, and that's a gift.
Marucci also talked about how they train him.
Bro, it's wild.
It's nuts. Right?
It's funny because I've had some people on Twitter say, well, virtual reality's been out for a long time. Well, duh.
Right.
This not what LSU's using.
Right, yeah.
Not what LSU's using. And you ought to go watch the LSU Gold if you have it and watch the conversation. Jack did all of the talking, as he should. But I kept looking at him going, Jack, should we put this on a podcast or should we shut this down and burn this tape? But right now, they are working directly with a group out of Germany, some code writers and some computer guys and gals. And it is a customized LSU virtual reality. Nobody's got it but them right now. And that's the difference. Like, there's a lot of teams that have used VR. And Jack said, we looked at it for the last 3, 4, 5 years. It was clunky. It was, it's kind of like looking at what we expect the new EA Sports College that's going to come out versus Tecmo Bowl, if you remember that. He said it just wasn't, it just didn't give that much value because it was a decent tool, but it wasn't really
realistic.
Now Jayden's stepping into those VR goggles looking at, Bryant-Denny Stadium. I mean, they've mimicked Bryant-Denny Stadium. In fact, Mario, who works with Jack, told me that the German computer folks who build the software, if they say we need this, we need the safety to do this, or we need the safety moved over towards the hash, boom, it's done. And even Jayden picks up on it. So it tracks his eyes and what he's targeting with his eyes, and he knows that at Bryant-Denny there's a play clock in the right corner of the end zone and one to his right or left, depending on what side of the field he's on. He's doing that in practice that week. He knows where that is. So they come to a game and they see a flyover, these German computer folks. And they're like, wow, what is that? And everybody's like, well, that's kind of what we do here. They fly over, an F-16 or, whatever. So anyway, like the next week, Mario says he goes in to set up the VR for Jayden. And the guy goes, hey, check this out. And suddenly they put a flyover in the virtual reality. I mean, it's so yes, a lot of people are using virtual reality, but they're not using what LSU's doing. And I told Jack, I said, that's the story for me. Is that you think back to LSU and the late great Jeff Boss and the partnership they had with Nike to develop, the shoes that not only football players use or athletes use, that we all use now. You think about the fan in the helmet. You think about the cooler rooms. I mean, LSU's always been kind of on the forefront, and Jack's a big part of that. But they are certainly on the forefront of this VR stuff. There's no doubt. It's wild.
Is amazing. I would definitely suggest go and listen. Check out the LSU Gold conversation with Dr. Jack Marucci. It is it's insightful stuff. It's incredible how they train the athletes now and what they just have the access to.
I think they put it out on Twitter, but where he asked Jayden, how do you think this has helped you, prepare each week? And he said 85%. And he was thinking like 5 to 10% advantage. And he goes, no, he comes in there and he said they've even let the offensive linemen try it out. Because they're like, you want to know what your quarterback's going under, what he sees every week? And they put some of the linemen in there with the VR goggles, and suddenly the defense is coming at you at real speed. Because it's not CGI, it's actual motion capture, like the big-time stuff with the guy that have the little buttons all over him and stuff. So it's a much more natural movement when, they shift the linebackers or they stun at the line. Like I think they've got 500 different formations, and they're adding to it every day, depending on what they want to look at.
Did you get to the bottom of why LSU has the exclusive? Why has nobody else? I mean, I'd imagine Saban's I'll take 10 of those.
It was because nobody knew this German company. Again, there were some big players that do have VR that were on the forefront of it, and these guys were, I think he said it's like a group of 2 or 3 people. I mean, we're talking about the picture I got, Jordy, is that there's a couple of young kids, and I say kids because anybody under my age is a kid, sitting in a basement somewhere with computers, a stack of computers and racks, and
cigarettes.
They developed how to do this. And one of the things Jack and Mario both told us is that because of that reputation that I talked about with LSU always looking for the newest and greatest, that companies like that you've never heard of, that aren't incorporated yet, that aren't some big mega corporation, they come searching for LSU because they know if they have a hit, something that works, LSU will help them eventually. I mean, it's a great symbiotic relationship where this company's helping LSU develop a Heisman winner, in my mind, and future great players, and it's probably going to help this company take this to market at some point. But yeah, I kept saying, Jack, I mean, seriously, we can, we need to burn this.
Don't get me caught up in any type of underground ops stuff.
Like,
man.
if you want to keep this secret, I'm good with shutting up and talking about something else. But
right, man.
Apparently they know what they're doing, and but it's amazing, man. It's really cool, and I just think again, it's really neat that LSU is. I kept telling Jack, I kept saying, that's to me is the story. Like, we can get into the weeds on what this stuff actually does.
Yeah.
But the fact that LSU, I mean, if you ask Jack and Mario, they will tell you that's the best VR out there that they got right now that they're utilizing. And they weren't able to get it all up and ready because when the company said, hey, we can do it this way, they were like, yeah, but we need it to do this. And it's only going to work if it does this and if it only looks real and all these things that they were working on. So they finally got them a finished product, I think, before the Mississippi State game, which also had the Mississippi State Stadium in it. So when Jayden was preparing that week, he was actually playing right there in Davis Wade Stadium, which is crazy.
I love basketball in the day. I love a matinee basketball game today. The Tigers play at 3 o'clock. They'll be in Dayton playing, or they're playing Dayton.
Playing Dayton and Charleston.
In Charleston, that's right. What do you make? I know they're coming off of a tough one last Friday night, but these are usually kind of the games where you're figuring this stuff out.
Yeah, Charleston Classic in the last 10 years has really come on to be one of those. It's one of those ESPN puts on, but it usually has really good competition, and it's no different this year. It's a wider bracket, wider field, but to me, I think this weekend they'll play today, they'll play tomorrow, and then they'll play on Sunday, depending on where they, how they win the first 2 games. But either way, the 3 games they will play this weekend, I think will let us know if that Nichols debacle was an anomaly. And from the sense of, I'm not saying that LSU's at a point where they couldn't lose to Nichols. What I'm saying is the difference in the first 20 minutes and the second 20 minutes were night and day.
Definitely.
And I think that's what bothered Matt the most. And frankly, I think bothered anybody who was watching it because they lagged off defensively. The reason that Nichols had success not only driving but also kicking out for open threes is they were playing, 3 feet, 4 feet off the ball.
Mm-hmm.
That changed in the second half. I mean, they got right up in their grill. They forced turnovers. And, being down 19, they really had a chance to win. So, but I think you'll know this weekend because Dayton's a really competitive mid-major team, a high mid-major team. If you get the chance to run into St. John's and the Red Storm, that's going to be a team to tackle with. I know they played Michigan pretty good for a while.
Well, Ricky P's back, baby.
Yeah, Ricky P's back. So I think you come away from this weekend, hopefully pick up a couple of wins. I know that's ultimately the goal. But if you don't look competitive in these 3 games against this type of competition, then I think whatever you were worried about coming out of that Nichols loss is probably pretty accurate.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully it's going to be one of those things where the guys took their eye off the ball, they didn't take them seriously, got down big, and then had to battle back in the second half. And then we can put that game behind us. But we'll see.
7 o'clock kickoff Saturday night, which means 5 o'clock pregame for you on the LSU Sports Radio Network. Chris Blair and the crew will be there for you. As always, you can find them on YouTube. It's interactive. You can go inside the booth with the crew. And as always, getting let in there with Hunt Palmer, Brandon Taylor, Marlon Favorite, and the
Brandon's
fellas.
been salty lately.
Yes, he has.
Yeah, man, because you talk about a guy who takes defense not playing up to certain levels. That's a guy who he wears it, man.
Taylor is one of those guys too, man, that he held the whole thing in check. You know what I mean? Like he was a locker room guy that he'd straighten you up if he needed to behind, but he was also somebody that when he got to the media, he was accountable. He would hold people responsible. I mean, I think, and I don't want to, nobody's pointing finger. It's just a personality that you haven't seen in a long time in there.
Yeah.
Not necessarily this team. Just, Taylor's he's a tough guy to replicate, but I mean, you miss him a lot.
He told me a great story Saturday before they went on the air. He was telling me about when he was in the NFL. He goes, man, these kids, man. He said they don't know what work is,
Right,
man.
that's
He goes,
right.
I got to the NFL, and every week I'm on the team. I'm signed. I got a deal. I'm out there busting, trying to get do what I got to do. And every week there'd be a bus of unsigned players who the team would roll in. And the guy, he said, we'd be getting ready to go to practice, come out of the locker room, and there'd be a bus pull up. And these guys who didn't get signed, they were like, we're going to give these guys a shot. If you ain't doing your job, maybe these 4 guys that got off the bus are going to take your job. He goes, and that was every week, man. He said, you couldn't, there wasn't no taking off. You had to be razor sharp every single day. And, he's fun to be around. So, He's one of the greatest, man. He made me laugh. He said something last week I'd never heard. Hunt said, what do these guys got to do tonight, Brandon? He goes, they got to go out there and play like they're from Louisiana. They got to play with that LSU on their chest. Like here in Louisiana, we know we cook better food than anybody. We take pride in our lawns. Like our lawn, nobody has a better lawns in Louisiana. And I thought, I know exactly what he's saying, but I've never heard it put that way.
Right. I've never heard football.
I've
the
never
greenest,
heard
plushest grass.
I've never heard landscaping, compared to going out and playing football. But I knew what he meant.
These people don't know what a roux is.
Yeah, I see exactly what he's talking about. The rolling green fields.
Yeah.
How many fans or how many fan bases can catch a duck pregame and let it fly?
That's right.
You're not. I think he was saying you're not going to let your neighbor have a better looking lawn than you. That's something you do here.
Miss Brandon Taylor, an 18. A representative of 18. Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers. Compliments of Carriage's Baton Rouge. Carriagesbr.com. Jefferson Highway Shopping Center. Go see Will and the crew. Love those guys over there. They are outfitting Chris every single Saturday night and Thursday night for the coaches show. Coach Brian Kelly will be over at TJ Ribs tonight. 7 o'clock start for you on the network. All right, see you next week, man. Have a good call.
Yeah, man. Thanks, guys.
We'll be right back. Close it out here on the Jordy Culotta Show.
Daniels in the pocket now will decide to escape and run. Daniels up the middle of the field, sidesteps a defender at about the 40-yard line. Now he's free. Near side, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Fighting Tigers. A Heisman run for the second time tonight, 51 yards for Jayden Daniels. And the Tigers quickly back on top, 30-28. Jayden Daniels, 220 yards rushing tonight, a 51-yard touchdown, an 85-yard touchdown, and has thrown for 226 yards. Daniels in the pocket.
If you're in the market for a mortgage lender, you need to start with Doug Bickley and his team. Bickley has built a crew with over 50 years of combined lending experience. They've been in business for over 20 years, and they love helping their clients achieve the American dream of home ownership. They're also key with working in real estate agents and helping their clients getting same-day pre-approval. They average about one buyer a day getting them in a home. If you want to get in touch with Doug and his crew, it's easy. Call them 225-214-5154. 225-214-5154. Go see the Bickley team today. They're located on the corner of Coursey Boulevard and Sherwood Forest right here in Baton Rouge.
What's up?
What's happening?
Chilling with a couple of cool guys. You?
Chilling and watching some tube. Hold on. Did you do it? Hold on. Did you do it?
Roof's up.
Hold on.
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Head health is incredibly important for our student athletes. One of the best ways we're trying to address concussions is on the front end. We're trying to prevent these before they happen. And a big part of that is speaking to the athletes, letting them know what to expect. Okay, speaking to the parents, what to look out for, talking to the coaches so they know the vital importance. Some of the big things we're looking for with the concussion, which is, a traumatic brain injury, is one, was there a mechanism? Was there an injury that took place that could lead to this? Often a direct blow to the head, a head-to-head hit. If someone's showing signs of concussion, our first step is always to remove them from activity, get them to a place where there's less stimuli, where we can really just sit down and get a feel for the athlete, what they're feeling. We're looking for headache, we're looking for dizziness, any sign that coordination is off, that something's just not right. Get a good evaluation of them to understand what's going on. It's not worth the risk that may be there to kind of ignore it, because there are very serious consequences if we don't treat a concussion properly.
Don't let concerns about shifts in the market disrupt your long-term financial goals. Edward Jones financial advisor Daniel Newman can help. He'll work with you on an investment strategy for long-term results. Edward Jones can give you the tools and knowledge for a steady approach to hitting your financial targets. Get started today by calling Daniel Newman at 225-261-8262. 225-261-8262. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Again, this year, we're giving away bikes all across the state of Louisiana. In fact, this year is a record number. We're giving away 488 bikes. Go to GordonGives.com for more information and details. And look, it's not just me. It's everybody at our company across the state of Louisiana. At Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, we're all participating in this process, and we're so excited to be giving away a little cheer, Christmas spirit, and everything else this time of year. So God bless. Go to GordonGives.com for more details. Merry Christmas, Louisiana.
Hi, I'm Gordon McKernan. Everyone has a special Christmas memory. One of mine is when I woke up on Christmas morning, ran down the stairs, and there it was, a brand new red bicycle.
That is why this Christmas, Gordon McKernan is giving away over 425 bicycles throughout the state of Louisiana.
To register, please fill out a form online at GordonGives.com or GetGordon.com. And make sure to visit the Get Gordon Facebook page for additional details and chances to win.
From all of us here at Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, Merry Christmas and God bless.
tearing up Florida's coverages too. Now this is I put up here JD5, the QB. Everybody wants to talk about him as a runner, all this. I want to talk about this kid as a quarterback. I want you to see how long of a throw this was right here. When he actually throws this ball, he's going to throw this ball all the way across to almost to the sideline, and this is just how easy he throws this ball, and that's a, it's a 6-yard pass when he catches the ball, roughly 6-7 yards deep when he catches the ball.
But he threw it.
But he threw
50
that thing
yards, 40 yards at least,
and he threw it on the line. And point being is like he can make those throws. And so this is 1st and 10. This is I'm sorry, I'm on. So yeah, it's 1st 10. So I want you to watch the full progression here. So they're going to run like a stick, a seam, and like a hitch. And this guy's going to run like a deep dagger right here. He's going to look over here and read this entire side, but I just want you to watch the progression he makes. He's going to progress to the whole field and then come back and throw the backside dagger or dig. You see how he read the whole field and came back to it. That to me that's something when NFL quarterback coaches and coordinators and head coaches are looking for a quarterback, especially a guy that can run like him. They're going to say, well, he's just a runner. No, look, call him in the pocket. He's got great protection, by the way. Call him in the pocket, great protection, and comes back, reads it out, does a right to left read. And, just want to make a point that this kid's playing quarterback, not just runner. Now,
All right, welcome back here, Jordy Culotta Show. As always, we are built by our friends over at RMB Builders and brought to you by Hughes Mechanical Contractors, Hughes Mechanical AC. Remember, they can help you out with HVAC services, both residential and commercial, online at hughesmechanical.net. Headquartered in Zachary, got offices in Covington. They can help you all along the South Louisiana corridor, from Lafayette to the North Shore, everywhere in between. Get in touch with Travis Hughes and his crew. They are a trusted Daikin dealer that you can find online at hughesmechanical.net. I can't believe that Nick Saban has allowed LSU to live with this virtual reality training method and
if that's the
corner
first,
the market.
If that's the first he's heard about it, somebody at Alabama is getting fired
or dying.
Or maybe they haven't. We don't know. But with Jack Marucci, we were talking about this a little bit off the air. He's done this 2 or 3 times where he's like, we're the only team that has this. And then Saban is just rustling the trees. What is he talking about? Now Saban has an LSU Gold account trying to figure out where they got this equipment. It first was with the walk-in room, right?
The 3D room.
Right. And then it's been like a myriad of other things, whether it be air conditioning in the helmet.
Which,
and this virtual
Tiger Air.
There we go.
TigerAir.com.
But this feels like to be like the biggest breakthrough for Jayden Daniels to go out and publicly say, it's helped me 85% get better at football. And you saw it in Caskey's on the last play. He's going through all of his progressions, and it does look like he's done it before.
Yeah, he does. When he says it that way, you're like, man, you can almost kind of see how it helps. I mean, I would love to go through the
I just
tour.
want to see what it looks like.
Tour of it.
I'm on their website right now, and I applied for a demo. So let's see if I said I worked for I cover LSU athletics. So maybe I don't know how much Germany knows about what we do down here.
I'm Jayden Daniels' friend.
Exactly. But it says you get 12 times more reps than an average training session, and especially in football, you can't always get people to go throw with you. If this trickles down to high school, I would imagine that would be a massive help. But for Jayden Daniels, you saw the amount of reps. I'll even go back to Burrow. Whenever they got that summer workout program in, and it was we threw every day, you saw the jump. And Jayden Daniels did the same thing this offseason, and now he's getting reps on this Cognalized machine where they've been using it for goalkeepers.
Robo number 5.
Yeah. Their opening is binary code as soon as you open up the website, so they're in the future.
Yeah.
But
I love it.
It was for
Jack Marucci.
A lot of it was for soccer over there. So goalies have been using it to train, block shots. And so they could see the whole field. I'd imagine that would help. I'd feel a bit like a fool diving on the ground and nothing's actually happening.
Yeah.
Like pretending to play quarterback is way different than diving at a loose ball. There's no loose ball.
That's true.
Because, I mean, to do air throw, people do these all the time.
I mean, I was playing some virtual reality golf a couple of weekends ago and was putting the ball and was walking towards it and tripped over the
chair. You don't have to move. No, I'm playing golf.
What do you mean?
I'm
I
immersed.
lift it out. I need to tap it in.
You finish this thing up.
Hey, clean this thing up.
There are some. You can get immersed in that thing because I've played on the virtual reality, and there's one where you can go to space. And we had a friend over one time, and she started to have a legit panic attack because the spaceship blew up, and she was floating. She's like, "What the fuck is happening? Get this thing off of me!" Was like,
"It's real,
freaking out."
It's real.
You can like walk a line and look down, and you'll be like under a skyscraper, and people are like, "Oh my god!" Like, bro, you're in your living room.
That's the stuff that gets me, man.
You're walking after a golf ball.
I mean, so you tap it in.
Yeah. Then you have the other guy that's played forever on his couch.
Right, like look at this idiot.
Yeah, he's playing golf.
Good stuff from Chris Blair. We appreciate him being here.
Unbelievable.
Thanks for all the interaction today. Make sure to hit that like button, share button, comment button. I'm heading down to the Chris Stapleton concert tonight.
Where's that?
In Lafayette.
Oh.
I mean, like this dude doing Lafayette is a... They've had all these... I've had concert tickets over the last 3 months. I've never experienced this in my life. Where all these concerts have been either canceled or postponed. I had Drake tickets.
Oh.
Came through, kind of run across them, kind of luckily.
Where at?
Look at New Orleans. He was supposed to play with, I believe, 21 Savage, and then that was postponed. And then it was just rescheduled for the end of January, and he's got J. Cole with him now. So he's coming back. Like
you get to keep your ticket?
Yeah, you keep your tickets. And then I had tickets to the Lil Wayne concert at LSU, which was the day of the concert, got a mass email that it was postponed. And then the Chris Stapleton concert that I'm going to tonight was originally scheduled for a month ago, and the dude got laryngitis.
Oh.
But I mean, shout out to all of them. I mean, like I haven't heard a rescheduled date on Lil Wayne, but
yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen.
I mean, I got a date on Drake. They sent at the end of January. They've rescheduled it for the Smoothie King Center, and then tonight is the makeup of Stapleton, and it's at the Cajun Dome.
It feels like the concerts are back. I don't know if this is because
I kind of feel like they are too.
Drake and Swift went on this run, like this tear of, like we're gonna do multiple city tours and tour for an entire year or something like that, and they're like, the money you can make.
So I've heard kind of a little rumor around LSU that they're trying to bring back, or the plan for a new basketball arena is to, and this is just rumor, again, hearsay, this is just kind of
Tiger droppings, page 3.
This is kind of the stuff that I've just heard, kind of like talking to some people, but it feels like the more people that I've talked to that have knowledge on this, the more they say this is the plan, to rip the track up where the track currently sits, move the track over near River Road by the soccer complex where it is right now, build the new arena there on the track, keep the Maravich Center intact and run volleyball out of there, and use it for a practice facility and keep the basketball practice facility, build the new Maravich Center basketball arena on the current track, and fund that partially through bringing rock concerts back to campus. Like that is, the University of Texas has built a new basketball arena, and that's how they're funding it, through bringing in live music acts, live concerts, is they're funding it through a portion of that. And the reason why is because their former arena was a place that used to house a ton of concerts. You go back to the 70s and 80s, I mean, Baton Rouge was a must stop for all of the headliners, and they would play the Maravich Center. They would play at LSU on LSU's campus. I always tell the story. First concert I ever went to in my life, I looked up the date. I believe it was January 11th, 1991, which, funny enough, is the same day my son was born, just 30 years, 20 years later.
They're going to say 9 months later.
No, I was 10.
Yeah.
And my grandfather and I went and saw Jimmy Buffett in the Maravich Center. That was the first concert I ever saw in my life. And after that, I saw Elton John there. I saw Eric Clapton there. I saw, I know people like Fleetwood Mac played there. The Eagles played there. I mean, like in the 70s and 80s.
Did the Stones go there?
I don't know if the Stones went there, but it wouldn't surprise me if they did. Right? Like, I mean, like, because the Eagles went.
This is
they're
a
the
big
biggest
part.
concert. I mean, they're the biggest rock band in the world in the 70s.
This is the biggest stories I hear from LSU from my father. He wasn't into, like, he's not a big sports guy, like, would go to the games or whatever, but his stories of debauchery and
in fact
tailgating
like
are all
Scott
concerts.
Woodward's generation, Scott Woodward's crowd, when they were in high school and college, the Maravich Center was as popular of a concert stop as South Louisiana had, I would say. I mean, I would say even like more than the Dome. I don't think they figured the Dome out until like the 90s of concerts. But, I mean,
and if you look
the plan is to bring the new basketball arena in and make it a lot like the model of Ole Miss, Auburn, and Texas. If you look at them, I think they've slimmed down the seats, more premium seating, really kind of spend your money on the digital products of it, the visual, the sound system, make sure it's Wi-Fi relevant. I can bet during the game.
You're not trying to sardine can people anymore.
Right? Like, give me my living room at your campus. But funding that partially through
ticket sales for concerts.
Bringing concerts back to campus.
Because if you want to see live music here, it's the Varsity and it's like holes in the wall type deals.
Yeah.
And
even
the
like
River
COVID
Center.
It felt like it set the Varsity back such.
Yeah, I mean, that was how they make their
it
hay.
Lost a lot of steam.
Yeah. And so, I mean, if they do this is like an actual, like a venue where that you can go to, and actually it'll probably draw music here.
I mean, the Lil Wayne concert that I had tickets to last week was on LSU's camp. It was at the Maravich Center.
Yeah.
That's where it's set to be produced. But I mean, right now, as I said, it's been postponed.
And they've been trying to do like Groovin' on the Grounds or whatever. That was Ludacris came whenever I was in school. But if you we didn't go. But if you had like an actual venue to go to, it feels like we would have gone probably.
For sure.
I just didn't want to go stand on the parade ground and look at nothing.
But I mean, think about that. Think if you're
that's not knocking out the park.
Young adult, even I mean, just in general. I mean, having the access of that back. If you look at some of the acts that came through the Maravich Center in the 70s and 80s, I'm telling you, it's a who's who of music during that time. I mean, like it is a who's. I wouldn't bet against that the Stones did come to Baton Rouge and play on LSU's campus. I mean, like, I've heard like Grateful Dead sets from LSU's campus. I mean, Cream was there. Prince has been there.
I've actually documented this. There's like a list, a who's who, if you will. So this is going back to 1975, the second concert to ever come through. The Rolling Stones and the Meters.
Wow.
Then you have The Who. Then you have Bob Dylan, Led Zeppelin, Bad Company, Peter Frampton, If That Rocks Your Boat, Rod Stewart, John Denver, he's full of shit, Aerosmith, Bob Dylan, The Beach Boys, Billy Joel, Fleetwood Mac, Tina Turner, Bruce Springsteen, U2. I mean, that
sounds like We Are the World.
Yeah, if you were able to make it through this if you lived in the 70s from 70 to 87.
Could you imagine?
If you survived 15 years, imagine all the people you got. Like, if you're living that life, you're probably dead.
Oh my God.
You can't make it 15 years.
I mean, I think the story, I think like it's real. Like, and I mean, again, I hate rumor radio, but I mean,
here we are.
I believe Greg Allman of the Allman Brothers, like, has a kid in Baton Rouge. Like, I mean, like they would like play the after clubs. Like they would go play and then they'd like end up at like the scene. Like they'd be like you'd go to a local bar and like the Allman Brothers would be up on the stage. They'd be all like drunk, you know what I mean? Like, I think Melissa is about a Baton Rouge girl. I mean, like, I think that song is about a Baton Rouge girl that he met while touring and playing. You know what I mean? Like it.
Because it's like
Could you imagine?
Yeah, it's such an easy stop. You go from New Orleans and then you can creep down through Baton Rouge and hit, like a smaller venue, kind of get your act right again, and then hit a big stop.
Right.
Like that's what it's kind of like the flyover town.
Yeah, I mean, and if you listen to the music of that time, like, I mean, the band, you know, like take a load off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like a lot of that has South Louisiana
Absolutely.
references in it. You know what I mean? Like Lake Charles, Louisiana. I mean, like they're all living up in there. You know what I mean? Bob Dylan has that great quote about New Orleans. I've been to a lot of cool places, none as cool as New Orleans. You know,
Right.
New
Same
Orleans
thing
is just
with
cooler.
with Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah.
Like he loves New Orleans, but you're New Orleans adjacent, and it's just a reason to come to Baton Rouge because outside of LSU football, we talk about this all the time. It's or outside of like athletics, it's a tough ticket to sell. But if you could bring back a live music scene, Lafayette will be up your ass. But other than that, it'll be a great destination spot. That's what they inherited that.
Right, and I mean, that's where the Stapleton concert is tonight. Is at the Cajun Dome.
Yeah, that's where I saw Wayne.
Right. I mean, like, there's been a lot of acts. I think that's the first place I saw Garth Brooks. Was in the Cajun Dome.
Yeah. See, they saw an opening and were like, "Hey, we can come do it at the Cajun Dome," and then their whole vibe is based off like live local music now.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, that would be awesome if they brought that back.
That would be,
That'd
and
be awesome.
it makes sense.
It does.
Like,
it does.
All right, here's a way to fund it almost. I mean, it's not going to take. Makes it much easy. It makes it a much easier pill to swallow.
Some relief.
Yeah, like
right?
it's going to bring in money.
Yeah. And you could fall back into a gold mine.
Yeah, because this is where they're going from where to where.
They would take. So they would blow the track up.
This.
Okay. So like on the top left of your screen, right under the date, that whole section, you know, like the field house, the track. I mean, all of that is dated. Keep going up. Yeah. Keep the Maribich Center and the practice facility. Put the new basketball arena. Knock the field house down and get the parking there.
Knock the field house down. Okay, so we're going up here.
Yep, right there.
So there's a little plot of land.
Yeah.
That's the best one I could find quickly. It's an interactive map on some website if you really want to dig into what campus looks like.
The lakes, they're ripping the lakes up right now, man.
Oh, it's an eyesore. Perfect time to do it.
Well, I mean, it's a good time to do it, yeah. It'll look great when they finish it.
I had a car. I wasn't in the car, but a car that went into the lakes after a formal.
Ooh, wow.
Almost got decapitated.
Wow.
Everybody survived. All good. That's a fun phone call to get at 3:30 in the morning. Like, I mean, I'm not as bad as that guy was.
I lived on the lakes for 3 years, in those little wooden apartments that are on the lake right there on Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
We lived there like when I was like 28, 29, 30. Like Jordan was born there. Like that's where we took Jordan home from the hospital. And Coach, it was like clockwork in LSU football season. It was 3 a year. You would hear come screeching around one of those corners and just, fireball into the lake.
Cannonball.
I mean, and if it was raining, if it was slick, how more people do not get taken out jogging, biking?
Oh my God!
From just living there, sitting on that porch and just seeing like a day of activity. You're like, oh my God, look at the maniacs that come around.
Yeah, right. Bro, you're about to commit manslaughter.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily. I mean, kids texting. I mean, it's
a
death trap.
It has to be.
All right, have a great day.
So narrow.
They are. No, then there's no margin for error. You hit that grass, it's over.
It's over.
I mean, the hill it's steep. I mean,
now you're just doing damage control.
All right, hit the like button, share button, comment button. If you haven't subscribed, hit that for us if you don't mind. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Hopefully I'm not dragging ass after this concert, but we'll see how it goes.
Likely.
7 a.m. tomorrow morning. We'll talk to you then.
Like my theme music. Happy birthday, Cordell!
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time. It's the hottest show around, we ain't got to flex. Call up G, we get it done, we earning our respect. Tell recruits to let us in, where they going next. Throw up the L's, now we lit, band playing neck. From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, we live, mic'd up for show. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show, yeah.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification. We about to go live. We got all your favorite guests. We got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show. Come have a good time. Monday through Friday.